Good morning. Got my cup of tea. I'm all ready to go. My name is Helen Jennings. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the UK, and I think it's time to do some crafting. So, what shall we make today? Let's see. So I thought this morning we'd have a little bit of a play with the bird and branches bundle that you're going to find on page 120 of the annual catalogue. A beautiful stamp set with some 2-3 step stamping going on in there to create these gorgeous birds, and you've got legs and feet and nests and flowers and eggs, all sorts of things going on in there. And there's also a die set that goes with it to coordinate in this bundle. We'll be having a look at those in a bit more detail. Some really lovely samples in the catalogue showing you some of the things that you can do with this set. So let's have a little bit of a closer look at it. So as I say, the stamp set, you've got just your background bird, you've got your wings, and then you've got this more detailed stamp on here so that you can build up those layers of the birds. You've got your eggs that are 3 eggs on one stamp, and you'll see in a moment that the dies are 3 dies in one, so it will cut out the eggs individually, but you only need to do it in one step. You've got a lovely nest, you've got branches and leaves and flowers, blossom, lovely little heart in there. So lots of lovely things to help build up those beautiful pictures. And then the dies, as well as having the dies that will cut out your stamped images, you have these 2 detail birds. You've got this lovely sort of insert die, so it will cut this beautiful circle into a piece of card. You've got this border die that, again, there's no cutting edge on this outside, just there's no cutting edge on the outside of this circle, there's no cutting edge on the outside of that. So if you want it as a trim on the bottom of a piece of card, you can do that, or obviously you can trim it off and make it into a border. You've got a nice piece of branch there that you can cut out. So some really lovely stamps and dies that go together to create that bundle. So a really fun bundle. The other things I've got here, I've got the Many Mates stamp set that I think we shall possibly be using for our sentiment. We might change our mind, but that's the way I'm thinking at the moment. And then we've got the Flowers for Every Season DSP. So this beautiful pack of paper literally gives you papers that will take you through from spring through the brights of summer to autumn browns and through to your Christmas poinsettias there. So you literally do have papers that will take you throughout the whole of the season. And the other lovely thing about this pack is it is predominantly in colours. So the new in colours, the Bumblebee, the Just Jade, the Cinnamon Cider, the Magenta Madness, and the Misty Moonlight. And you know I'd forgotten one. So the papers we're going to be using today are these ones. We're going to use this lovely Bumblebee floral paper and this Just Jade one with this lovely foliage image on it. So let's put those to one side with our pieces of cardstock I've got ready to go, ready to use those. So let's have a start, and let's start to have a bit of a play. Let me just put these to one side for now, and I'm going to bring in my trimmer because I thought what we would do today is make a Dutch barn fold card. So I have a piece of Just Jade A4 cardstock here, but I think this will work equally well with a piece of US standard letter size card. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my piece of A4 and I'm going to line it up at the 5-inch mark, and I'm going to cut off a strip that is 5 inches long. And then if I open up the sidebar on my trimmer, I'm going to swing it round and I'm going to trim it so that it is 11 inches long. So I have a piece of card there that is 5 inches by 11. Let's put that little piece to one side. I'm then going to take it and I'm going to score it at 7 inches. So we now have 5, by 11, scored at 7. So let's take our bone folder, and I'm just going to fold that and burnish it on that score line. So now you've got your Dutch barn roof there, if you like. So that's the first part of our card. We're now going to take the strip that we cut from the side of that piece of card, and we're going to trim this to 10 inches long. So I'm going to leave it at the width it is, which is just over 3 1/4. It's about 3 and I don't know, 5/16, something like that. It really doesn't matter, and it could be that if you're using US letter size, it's probably 3 1/2. That equally doesn't really matter. Whatever size it is, I think you can go with it. And we've cut it to 10 inches long, and then what we're going to do is we're going to score this, and we're going to score it. Let's move our cutting blade out of the way, we don't want to do that. We're going to score it at 2 1/2 inches, and then at 7 1/2 inches. Now, all being well, if we have scored and cut that correctly, when we fold these two doors in, they should meet nicely in the middle. Let's just give that a bit of a burnish like that, and like that. So these are then going to be our barn doors, are going to open like this. Let's move our trimmer out of the way for a minute while we attach our doors to our barn. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually sit them on the front here, because I'm going to put a panel over the front that's going to tidy that up for me. So let's put some Tombow on the back of here. Now I have seen people make these where they haven't done the full strip across. Rather than that, they've had the full width that way, and they've cut them to 3 inches, and then they have scored them at 1/2 inch. So you still get your 2 1/2 inch piece there, but you just get a 1/2 inch flap just here to stick down. So if you like, you possibly save that piece of card in the middle. But I do feel that with the fact that you're going to be opening and closing this door, having that extra panel across the back does just give it a little bit more stability and a little bit more strength. So there's our basic card, that when it stands, you've got your doors that open and your barn door that comes down like this. It's never easy to show these, is it, when you're looking at them. There we go, something like that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to take a piece of bumblebee card, and this bumblebee card is just 1/4 inch shorter on each side, so it's 6 3/4 inches long by 4 3/4 inches wide. So that will come on that back panel there then, and sort of cover up most of where this panel comes across the back and where it is peeping out. As my dad would have said, a blind man would be glad to see it. So that's that bit just there. Let's just tweak that and bring that together nicely just there. And then we've got these pieces here. So I've got a panel here that's going to go on there. This measures 4 3/4 by 3 3/4. And we'll pop that on there, and then we've got 2 little panels for our doors down here, and they measure 3 inches by 2 1/4 inches. And they're going to sit on there. So now we have our Just Jade and our Bumblebee. Now one of these pieces of paper I've already cut. So this one is already cut to 4 1/2 by 3 1/2. So let's pop that on. Very different on the other side. You've got those magenta Madness Roses, but we're having the more subtle Just Jade foliage on this side. Then I'm going to take this pretty patterned paper just here, and we want 2 bits that are 2 inches by 2 3/4. I'm going to cut a panel off that way that's 2 inches, and we'll have one at 2 3/4 and another at 2 3/4, and then there's just a little slither there left over. So that's, again, very different paper on the back, really bright colourful roses, but we've gone for this more muted floral paper on the front, but very pretty. So there we go, that's our paper. Now I've also cut a piece of Just Jade cardstock, she says confidently, yes, that is measuring 3 1/4 inches square, and out of that piece of Just Jade cardstock I am going to cut this circle, and I'm also going to take another piece of Just Jade cardstock. Got some oddments in a bag just here. And I'm going to cut one of these borders. So what I'm going to do is just take my scissors and trim roughly round there, and then we'll trim it up nicely when it's cut off. So we're going to do one of the borders and this circle. So I'm just going to run those through my Big Shot or whatever die cutting machine you happen to have. Let's run that through. Won't be long now before we're seeing Stampin' Up's new die cutting machine. That will be exciting to get to have a play with that. Now let's see, has that cut out of there? Yes, I do believe it has. And has that cut there? Yes, I do believe it has. Right, so I'm going to take this out. As you can see, this centerpiece is just going to fall away. And then we have, pop out these little bits coming around here. Let's find our magic wand, our pickup tool, and just pop out the rest. And we're going to have that sitting on the top here. Oh, there's one we've missed. Oh, it didn't quite come out. And then this little panel here, to take my scissors and snip each end. And as you can see, because I've laid that up against the edge of the card, that's actually come out now. But had I not laid it against the edge of the card, had I got it on the bottom of a bigger piece, that would have given me a sort of a trim on the bottom of a piece of card. But I wanted it to be more of a border, but I'm very aware that that's not quite straight. Can we level that up a little bit? That's looking a bit better. So what I thought we'd do with this one is that we would have some on this side and some on this side. So if I cut that just there, coming across here to about there, that can come across here. I might need to trim that a little bit more. Now I think we're okay. I even bring it so it's actually sitting on the bottom like this. I think I like that better. And then we'll do the same with this. Let's have this coming along the bottom here, and we need to trim it about there. So we'll have those bits on the bottom. Let's get rid of all these little oddments of card that we don't need now. Put those in our recycling bin. Into that one, just in case we need to cut something out from it. Oh, that's my paper measurements. We don't need those, do we? Okay, so let's just stick these pieces on then. So some little spots of Tombow on the back there. And we'll have that sitting along the bottom of that DSP. And then the same with this one. And we'll have that one sitting along the bottom of that DSP. So that's just added that little border image, bringing in that Just Jade from the top into the bottom. So now we need some little birds for our foliage. I think actually we'll have our foliage going this way. So we can see that rest of that foliage peeping through behind, so almost the sense of it's the trees behind the tree that we're looking at. So I've got a piece of Whisper White here. Let's bring in our stamps and let's have a bit of a play with some of the colours and things here. So what I've done is I've picked out some So Saffron and some soft sea foam, so that we've got a really soft green and yellow to go in with our greens and yellows that we're already working with. I've got a Calypso Coral there, and I've got some Cinnamon Cider, and there's also some Bumblebee there. So let's start with So Saffron. So my thinking, we'll see where my thinking takes us, but my thinking is that let's look at our bird. So we've got that bird, and that's that bird. This is a different bird. That's that bird, and then that is just make sure we've got our wings the right way. I don't know why these are so. That is that wing, and that is that wing. And then we have our little feet, and I think we're just going to go with the feet without legs. Right, we'll start with that for a moment and see how we get on. I did think we'd also do some flowers, and we'll do those in Calypso Coral. So we'll have that one and this little blossom piece just here. So let's take our little pieces and let's start doing some stamping. So I'm going to put that one on there. Let's not lose our little feet. I'm going to start with some So Saffron, and I'm going to stamp that back piece in So Saffron. And then I'm going to take the wing for this bird, and I'm going to take some Calypso Coral. I think I'll stamp it off before lining that up over the top and stamping on some Calypso Coral. And then I'm going to take some Cinnamon Cider and the detail stamp piece. And lining that up, which isn't easy to do when I'm trying to work round the camera. going to come completely over the top in cinnamon cider. So now we've got sort of that multi-tonal bird. It looks rather fun. Let's pop this to one side and let's repeat that, but let's have the main body as soft sea foam. I'll just shut up the So Saffron and we'll ink this bird up in soft sea foam. Again, we'll take his wing. Just give it a bit of a wipe. It looks very fluffy, as if it's been round the floor, which possibly that's why it's looking a bit fluffy. I'm going to ink that up with Calypso Coral. Again, we'll stamp that off before lining that up on here. And then we'll take the other detailed stamp, ink that up with cinnamon cider again, and then line him up. He hit the mark a bit better. So there we are, we've got like these multi-tonal birds, and obviously you could just stamp the outline and use your watercolour pencils or your blends to colour them in. You don't have to do the 3-step stamping if you don't want to. Just going to take the 2 little feet, let's have them going the right way, both going the same way, and I think let's have some Calypso Coral feet. Why not? Let me just put those there so we don't lose them. And then I'm going to put both of these blossoms on this stamp, and let's do 2 of each, 1 full strength, 1 stamped off, so that gives us some multicoloured flowers. So now we need to die cut those. I think I'm just going to grab my magnetic base plate for this job. Let's put some lids on some inks so we don't rest in them. And let's bring in some of our dies. So this bird, I'm going to cut that bird, and this bird is going to cut that bird. I think I'll come back and do the feet on the next run through. So let's do some of these blossoms. That one's going to jump. Let's go for that one. And then we can have a wiggle on the next run through. So we'll run that through the machine. So 1 bird, 2 birds, and some flowers. Let's just find our little, make sure we've got the right one for the right pair of feet. And these are one of those dies that cuts out the feet but also cuts you out a little tab, so you've got something that's going to pop. So we'll do that on another run through. We can move our card then, but as we've got those settled, let's run those through. So some more flowers and some little feet, and you can see where you've got sort of like an extra bit of card at the top there that's going to enable you to stick those feet to your piece of cardstock. Let's just move this around a little bit and find a space where that magnet isn't going to jump. That's better. Let's have that one and one of these. No, that magnet's going to jump. There we are. So that's a couple more. There's the other pair of feet. They're so cute, aren't they, those little feet? 2 more blossoms. Not sure how many blossoms we're going to want, but we'll do these last pair for luck. And also, while I'm running this through, I think I am going to run through a piece of Just Jade card, and I can find the opening on my little packet. Piece of Just Jade card and this branch. Now then, if I move those, are they going to ping? You stay there, you stay there, and you stay there. And let's run that through. Clouds have come over really, really dark outside. It looks like it's absolutely going to throw it down with rain in a minute. And if it does, I'm sure my old dog, who's sitting just outside the door, will be scurrying in. I'm going to move those off of there and just run that through once more. I only literally ran it through once, and that's a fairly decent detailed die, so let's just take it backwards and forwards again. That's it. It's so much easier if it just pops out easily rather than having to sort of really tease it out. There's our bit of a branch, and there's the final 2 flowers. Let's gather up all of these dies so that we don't lose them. Pop them back on the magnetic sheet. Nothing more frustrating than when you lose, particularly like those little feet dies, tiny little dies like that, when they go missing and you're scrabbling around the floor. Right, let's bring back in our card. Now I'm thinking I might have a bit more foliage coming across here. Doesn't want to be an awful lot, I don't think. I'm going to chop that there and there. So we've got 2 little bits of branch there now. And we'll take our Tombow and didn't necessarily want quite that much glue, but we should be okay. We'll have one bit coming across here. And this other small piece coming down here. So just adds a little bit more foliage in there, ready for our birds. So if we have one little bird sitting down here, you could have another one sitting on there. So let's put some Tombow on the back of here and stick this down. We'll just put a few little blobs on the back of some of these leaves just to give those a bit of an anchor point. Take a block and give that a press. Now I think our little birds will actually pop up on some dimensionals. So let's have this one. Where should we have him sitting? About there. And should have put his feet underneath him first, shouldn't I? Let me just put some glue on there and pop his feet underneath. Press, stick. And then this one, let's actually put his feet on before we try and stick the bird on. So obviously you could have feetless birds, or you could have the stamp that has the long legs. But we'll have this one sitting up there. Let's just snip some of this side piece of these dimensional sheets because we don't want to waste any. And have him sitting on a branch coming across here. And then we've got our little blossom. So I think we'll have some stuck down. Some raised up. And we'll have a bit more coming around the top there. This one coming down there. Let's have this one coming round to the back here, sort of behind the bird. I'm going to have this one peeping out from behind that bird just there. So then I'm going to find, let's have a look, we've got a little bit here of bumblebee. Actually, I think I'm going to get a piece of Whisper White card first, and I'm going to take the Happy Anniversary, I love the font on this, from the Many Mates stamp set. So let's grab that happy anniversary, because this seemed like a perfect sort of anniversary card. The two little birds snuggled up on their branch together. And I think we'll take some bumblebee ink on a piece of Whisper White. Got a funny extra little mark on there. Let's turn that round. Still not happy with that. Third time lucky. That's much better. Okay, let's have a little look. What shall we have in terms of die cutting that label? We could go with that's not quite going to work. That's not quite going to work. That one would. Or we could have a little look at these labels here. That's rather fun. Let's have a look at that one. So this is the Stitched So Sweetly label collection. Trying to line it up upside down, that's never really a good idea. So happy anniversary. Where would we like that to go? Not exactly sure, but I wonder, will it let me? No. I'm going to try again on that. Don't like the shape of it on that card front. And this is where we get to play, and we can do different things. I think it needs to be, sorry for wobbling you. Needs to be much closer to the edge on that. Die. I'm just looking for the stitched rectangles. That's quite a bit bigger than it needs to be. Let's lose that. That might be more like it. Let me cut that out. And what I might actually do, let me move back the Stitch So Sweetly die. So I have cut that, but then what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to attempt to run that die back through and trim that bottom piece off. So you can feel that die sort of slip back into the stitched slots. So then you get it still stitched all the way around, but we've cut off. Actually, that's quite cute because that itself is stitched. Look, got almost like a, looks like a jean bit on the side of your jean. So if ever you're making something that you need some jeans, some tabs on some jeans. So yes, I think that's much better. It needed to be much smaller, so I think we're just going to stick that to the front like that. And I am just wondering if we need some blossom in the bottom there to bring that through. I think it might. I think it will sort of tie the that Calypso coral through to the bottom half as well. So what I need to do now is stop knocking dies on the floor. Let's pick those up, pop them on my magnetic sheet. I need just to find my little flowers. Where are you, little flowers? They are, I believe, both still sitting on a block. Not quite staring at me, but possibly not far away from staring at me. No, they're definitely not there. And as I appear to be missing a block as well, here they are. Look, I knew they were both going to be sitting on a block. We knew. So let's stamp a couple more of the Calypso coral flowers. There's a little bit of Whisper White and Calypso coral ink. So we'll have I'll do that. That will give us 5 then, because we want a nice uneven number. You always have uneven numbers when you're doing these things. Let's just cut those out. There's those. And magnet's just not quite playing ball. As soon as I get one sitting nicely, the other one pings. There we go. So let's just bring some of these in here, and that will just tie that calypso coral in with the calypso coral at the top then. And we'll have this one sitting here, and then I think we'll have that one up here, and last but not least this one sitting just there. Let's bring in some of the in colour enamel dots, and we'll add in, we'll just add in a bit of bumblebee at the top here. Oh, that one's come off. I had a feeling that one was going to. I just felt it almost go as I moved it. So they do that occasionally. So all you need is just where I've obviously pinged it a little too ferociously. Let me take the sticky end and pick up this clear casing onto a glue dot, and then we'll stick that back over the top of that coloured background. There we go. So we have a little barn door card. Obviously you could do a little bit of stamping inside there if you wanted to, add another greeting in the middle there, but there's the basis. And obviously what I can't show you very well on camera, but I will take a photo when I finished, is it standing beautifully like that on the shelf. So I hope you've enjoyed that little bit of a play with the birds and branches, creating a Dutch barn door fold card. I'll see you all again soon.